Hi everyone, so today we are going to continue looking at the unit circle and now we are going to talk about radians. A radian is the measure of a central angle that intercepts an arc whose length is equal to the radius of that circle. So you can almost think about it like a little piece of the circle, a little piece of a pie. So that radian, that length equals the radius of that circle. Now here we take those pieces and we're going to put as many as we can and fit it all in one circle. So now if I think about this last little piece, that last little piece is not actually 1 radian, it's actually equal to 0.28 of a radius. Now, if I want to think about 180 degrees, what you want to think about is, well, I've got 1 radian, and 2 and 3, and I have a little bit of that blue piece of that radian, and that piece is actually smaller than the green piece, and it's actually 0.14. So 180 radians is actually the same thing as 3.14 radians, which is pi. Now, if I were to continue and count all the way around, 360 degrees is actually going to be twice as big, so it's going to be 2 pi. Now we're going to finish filling out our unit circle. So we did the degrees and the terminal points, and for this video, I did leave the degrees on here to help us with the radians. So now, we're always starting at 0, and we just talked about that 180 degrees was the same thing as pi radians. Now, if I were to look then at my 180 and compare to 90 degrees, that is actually half. So if I'm going to take 1 pi and take half of it, it's going to be actually 1/2 pi, or pi over 2. So now if I think about 90 degrees being equal to half of a pi, or pi over 2, I can continue counting towards 270 and I would get 1/2 pi, or 3 pi over 2. And I were to finish my unit circle going 1 rotation to 360 degrees, that would actually get me my 2 pi. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the 45 degrees. Now 90 degrees, if I take half of that, that is actually 45 degrees, which means in order to figure out what the radians would be for 45 degrees, I would just cut the pi over 2 in half. So half of 1/2 is pi over 4, which means that every 45 degrees, I'm going to count up by 1/4, or pi over 4. So here you can see my 45 degrees, I have 1/4. So now what you're going to do is every 45 degrees, you're also going to include the blue axis. We're going to count up by 1/4. So I have 1/4. Then I have another 1/4, which got me 2/4, which was the same thing as 1/2. Counting up another 1/4 pi, or pi over 4, I get 3/4 pi. Counting up another 1/4, I would get 4 over 4, which is the same thing as 1 pi. Counting another 1/4, I would get 5 pi over 4. Counting up another 1/4, I would get 3 pi over 2, which was the 6 over 4. My next 45 degrees was the other 1/4, which was 7 pi over 4. And then I would count up by another 1/4, which would get me 8 pi over 4, which is the same thing as 2. So now what we're going to do is we're going to think about how can we fill out the green and the red. Now, if I want to think about 90 degrees and how I would get to 30 degrees, I would actually divide by 3, which means that pi over 2, I'm going to divide by 3, which means every 30 degrees, I'm going to count up by 1/6 pi, or pi over 6. Now, that's also going to correspond with the red triangles, so with the 60 degrees, because every 30 degrees, I'm going to count up by 1/6. So my 30 degrees is going to start off with pi over 6, or 1/6. The other 30 degrees, the next one would be 2/6, which is the same thing as 1/3. So I'm going to simplify that fraction. And then I have 3/6, which is the same thing as 1 over 2. Then I'm going to have 4/6, which is the same thing as 2/3. Then I'm going to have 5/6. Then I'm going to have 6/6, which is the same thing as 1 pi. Then I'm going to have 7/6. Another 1/6 would be 8/6, which is the same thing as 4/3. Then I'm going to have 9/6, which is the same thing as 3/2. Then I'm going to have 10/6, which is the same thing as 5/3. Then I'm going to have 11/6, and then one complete rotation would be 12/6, which is the same thing as 2 pi. And so now we've gone ahead and figured out all of our degrees, all of our radians, and all of our terminal points of the unit circle. So now here are some things for you to remember. You can always find everything on your unit circle with patterns and with counting. So with the degrees and now with the radians, as well as our terminal points. And every 30 degrees, you're going to count up by 1/6 and simplify your fractions as you go. And then with the 45 degrees, you're going to count up by 1/4. Now I hope you found this video helpful and you're able to now fill out your unit circle with radians, degrees, and terminal points. Thanks for watching and see you next time.